Welcome along to Nailtopia, Inside with the Insiders. I'm Rachel. In this podcast, we're going to talk to some of the nail industry's biggest and brightest. But I want to get to know the real them. I want to know their real stories. So come with me as we take a peek behind the curtain.
Today, I am finally talking to somebody, it turns out, thinks I stalk her. I'm here with Sue Davies, who, when we met last year at Scratch, I walked up and tried to introduce myself and she knew who I was because apparently I feature on her socials quite a bit. Not saying I'm a stalker, but I'm saying I really love what she does, and she's here to tell us all about what she does. Hi, Sue.
Hi there, Rachel. Nice to be here. Yeah, it's
So
good being on someone else's podcast.
Yes, wonderful. So tell us all about what your multiple hats that you wear, what they all entail.
So currently, oh my goodness me, where do I start? So if I start with the stuff that I do just for me, I have got my own podcast, Inspiring Salon Professionals, that I've been doing for a couple of years, and he's on a bit of a hiatus at the moment because I just got really busy, but that should be coming back again, hopefully from next week. And Inspiring Salon Professionals is all about just helping people grow their careers and develop their businesses and stuff like that. And it's just some of it is really, really simple stuff. That the beginning of the podcast is all about like career pathways and stuff. So for people that are joining the industry, but as it's evolved, it sort of then talks about how you do marketing, social media, and lots of other things. I have guests on there talking about lots of interesting things too. So yeah, but everything's industry related, and it's all about kind of personal growth and business growth, really. So
that's really important as well when you're starting out, because sometimes you think you've got to go from zero to end product.
Yeah.
And you don't.
There's an awful lot in between, and it's one of the things that, like, you know, most of us that have been around for more than a few years really understand that to have longevity of career, you really have to adapt and pivot and understand business in a very different way to how you do when you first start out. It's a really
and you can't really ask other business owners that aren't in your same industry, because their path will not be anything like yours.
No,
even other nail techs, you've got to find your own path and how it works for you, because we're all individuals. And I find that when I do listen, you do tend to kind of really explain that very well, how this is, you've got to tailor this to your needs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a really fine line, I think, between, you know, we know in industry currently that there's, and especially since COVID, there's been a huge influx of people coming into the industry that were kind of doing like side hustles and that kind of stuff, which is, you know, where an awful lot of us start, especially in the nail sector. A lot of us start with, you know, doing this as a side hustle, and then gradually you grow it. And if you know, and if it's something you're passionate about, you make it be your full-time thing. But I think with the rise of social media and TikTok and stuff, it's, you know, we're getting a lot of people that aren't necessarily what I would consider to be like true professionals, that are like really qualified and insured, and that kind of stuff. And I think so much of what I try and do with everything that I do is to highlight that, you know, there is a professional standard that you do need to meet, and that, you know, to do that, you need to grow your skills, and you need to grow your business skills, and you need to grow your practical skills. And the education is everything.
It is. So that's your passion project. What else?
So I have that. Then it's been going for quite a while now. I've got an education platform called Nabuno, which is it's still kind of burgeoning and it's still getting there. We have a massive event next weekend that Nabuno is going to be at Professional Beauty, and Nabuno is basically an education platform that is created specifically for the salon industry. It has, for learners, a full course directory. There's blogs and educational content on there. And for education providers, it has a full learning management system, and the course directory is there for you to market your courses. So it kind of feels both sort of sides of the camp. So
it's for those that want to come to you for the online learning and that sort of thing. But if they want to find, there is a directory there, and you can find something near you that. Or maybe not near you.
And it's growing at the moment. You know, we did beta testing last year, and we've been going through quite a lot of changes and processes, but we're now in a place where we're kind of ready to welcome business skills providers and vocational skills education providers, and just to start building it so they can host all of their stuff on there, like, you know, all that student management stuff that you have, like this system, and then you have to have your learning management system with whatever other brand they're like, Derby or whoever. And you have all these different things, and like that, and then you've still got to have your website. Whereas if you work with Nabuno, then everything's in one place.
One monthly cost.
and everything's in that same zone. So you just go to your dashboard and you can connect with all your learners, send them everything they need to know. You can highlight, your courses, you can feature courses, so much stuff. It's amazing.
It would be amazing for those, we've heard so much since, like you said, since COVID, like people like myself that were just salon owners or salon workers that thought, I've got all this time, and they always wanted to teach, so they took that time and they got their AET or petals or whatever it's called nowadays. They got that, but it's like, okay, well, how do I get students? It's very, very hard because there's so many educators out there. How to get the students? That's an amazing platform for them to be able to feature their classes, and the students will come to them.
Absolutely. And also, like we do verify the educators to make sure that they have the appropriate qualifications and that they have appropriate insurances. And so, we're not going to sit auditing every course that they do, but we do make sure that they're on the right pathway to being a quality education provider, rather than someone that you might find on a sponsored ad on Google that is a £25 nail course. We're just, what Nabuno is all about is raising awareness of what quality education looks like, and helping the learners. Because let's face it, if you've decided you're sitting in your 9-to-5 job doing whatever it is, whether you work in retail, whether you work in an office, whether you work on an oil rig, whatever it is, you're kind of fed up with doing what you do, and you want to start, you go, actually, I always had a hankering to be in beauty or to be in nails or to be a massage therapist or whatever. You had one of the first places you're going to go to is Google. And when you do that, it's like a shark tank of people trying to get you to spend £25. Or I mean, on one site that I won't name, that provides courses on a multitude of different subjects. They're not salon industry at all, but they're like a worldwide global training website. And I've seen manicure courses on there for £5.
Oh my word!
But the thing is that they're so huge, and their marketing is so
reputable,
massive, that's if you don't know any different, you think that's okay.
Yeah.
And so Nabuno, the whole point of Nabuno is that through the power of the community and the power of the many, we will become one of the top ranking places. It's a bit like Treatwell for training kind of thing. So we all know how huge Wahanda was and before it became Treatwell.
Yes.
And that's where the idea kind of sparked from. Is like, we need something like this for the salon industry, because we need to have something that's at the top of Google that actually says the right thing. And so that's fundamentally what the concept of Nabuno is about allowing learners to have good due diligence and make sure that they are finding people in the right way, rather than in a way that they don't realise is wrong, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I do, because even when you've been in the industry for as long as I have, if I was to decide to go looking for a course, because I'm not very good at art, if I was to go looking for a course for art, again, like you said, first place you would go is Google. I was actually thinking about that last night. I was thinking, do you remember them days when we had Ask Jeeves? We have lots of different search engines. Now it's only Google.
It is, really, isn't it?
To be a business, you have got to be able to get yourself seen on Google if you want any kind of comeback from people searching. So you've got to be doing the right things to get the right place in their list. But if I went on there, I couldn't guarantee, and even myself, with as many years as I've got under my belt, the one that's at the top, I would presume, is the best.
Yeah, because people do, but that's often paid for. And I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, it's just really hard.
It's normally paid for, exactly. If you can't afford to pay for it, then.
And if you don't, and this is why Nabuno is fantastic, because you pay Nabuno like a monthly fee that is basically like a marketing fee, really, and it's like it's a hosting for your learning management system, but also a lot of that goes towards how we promote on Google, and the more people that come onto the platform, the more money we can spend on Google. And that then means that we carry everybody. So we carry that solo educator that's sort of in a rural area somewhere that really is struggling to get their courses found. If someone does a search, then Nabuno comes up. The same as with Treatwell. That opened the doors to so many smaller businesses being able to have a platform, and that's really that is basically what Nabuno is there for. And it is, we know it's not going to be an overnight thing, that this is that we're going to hit the top of Google. It's going to take industry support, because we need the education providers on there, we need the learners coming to us, and it's sort of, we're waiting for the party to start, basically.
Yeah, and it will take time, but eventually, like you say, it will be something that at least anybody that finds a course on there can say, I know I'm getting what I think I'm getting.
It is, and
I'm not going to get.
we've got a code of practice that all of the education providers have to abide by, and if they don't abide by it, then they will be removed. You know, and obviously that's not great for us financially, but that's the whole point of verification, is that, you know, we make sure that when people are coming on board, that they are the right fit for what it is that we're trying to promote.
Yeah, and I've come across people in my time. In fact, I was at a birthday party not so long ago, and got chatting to a lady, and she's like, "Oh, you're a nail technician." "Oh, I did nail tech training a few years ago with a local provider, and we never got a certificates. We never received a certificates. They were accredited, but something somewhere along the line happened, and the course never got they never got signed off. They never got the certificates. They'd paid thousands of pounds for this course. They took it to small claims courts and everything, and the small claims court said, yeah, you can have your money back, but they didn't get the money back.
Of course,
And they didn't get. She says, all I want is my certificate.
Yeah.
She says,
and it's so hard, and I know, you know, I mean, I've worked with someone that happened from the other side of it, and they had a lot of problems going on, and there were people knocking on her door, and it's like, and it is difficult, you know, when if something goes wrong, and you know, you can be the best educator and have something major happen in your life and it all goes wrong, but communication's the key. And sometimes it's all the stuff that I'm doing at the moment is like, you know, communication's like is my best friend and my worst enemy at the moment, because it's if you don't get it right and people don't hear you, then it's difficult.
Yes,
whichever way around it works.
In this modern age, technology is so good at making us communicate, but sometimes you're not communicating in the way that the other person is understanding.
Yeah, absolutely. And all this, like, you know, and we've had a few incidents recently where, you know, and I think we've probably all seen it for years, is like, you know, the black and white of like written text on an email or on a messenger or on a thread on Facebook or wherever, you know, that it's so often taken out of context. And I think sometimes, you know, we really need to get back to a little bit of in real life, because it's one of the things I'm looking forward to so much with like the stuff coming up at Professional Beauty next weekend, because it is like, I'm going to spend the whole weekend meeting people that I know online. And that's the only place I know them. And so it's actually really nice to go, oh my goodness, you're here in front of me. And I think we really miss that. And whether it's phone calls or because you need to hear people's voices.
Yeah, and I must admit, since I've been doing the podcast, people I've followed for years and I've admired, and I've got them on the podcast, and I'm talking to them, and I'm sometimes thinking, you know, in my head, that's not what I thought you'd sound like, or that's not how I thought you'd be. How I expected people sometimes to be more subdued and they were really hyper, or I expected people to be like really hyper and they were actually really articulate. And do you know what I mean? It's so weird that when, like you say, when you get somebody in real life and you're talking to him, you get a very, I think, tone of voice as well. You get a much better understanding of who they are as a person. I'm particularly sarcastic, so I do not come away well on text. I use lol a lot.
Yeah,
because I'm very sarcastic.
And I think it is. And I go, and not that I get ranty, but I get very wordy,
passionate
online. I get very wordy. You know, if I'm trying to provide an alternative view of something, perhaps on a thread, then I can be like, you know, a whole, like nearly a book of like, how you thought about doing this. And so I probably come across as quite condescending and quite challenging, and, you know, but I mean, it comes from a place of like trying to help people understand that, you know, there's a better way or a different way that maybe they should view things. And, you know, and we know especially in the nail industry, you know, there's so many different views and so many different opinions, and it can be a hotbed of very difficult situations that I've seen arise over the years. And it's how you deal with it, isn't it? But I do try very hard to be fair,
voice of reason as well.
Try to be the VOR. And mostly I think I am, but I don't like confrontation, so I don't tend to get.
No, me either. I don't do it. I apologize for things that aren't my fault. Just I can't be bothered with it. So let's talk about both me and you going.
Yeah.
Love winter.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, and I say, like, you're gonna have to. Everyone listening, I'm very sorry. I'm like on the back end of having this awful cough and like laryngitis, so I may
It's
be.
awful. We're doing
A
quite well,
couple of
both of us, so
few of my
far.
friends have said to me, like, you should get on OnlyFans while your voice is like that and earn some money. But it does. It's like it's not too bad. It isn't too bad today. But like last week, I sounded
You're
like
doing brilliantly, by the way.
Yeah.
So let's talk about how you came to this, because not everybody came out of mom wanting to be a nail tech or wanting to be in the beauty industry.
No, and I just add as well, miss one thing that I'm currently doing, the Salon Education Journal, which came off the back of Nabuno. So so now editorial director of a magazine as well, which is a bit mental. But that's all great.
I bet that's fun though. I bet that is fun.
Do you know what? I actually really love it, because I wrote for Scratch for a while when I won one of my big awards, and I've done lots of articles for them over the years, and I think I've done a couple of bits for Professional Beauty over the years as well, and for Pro Beauty Loft, and I've been around that kind of writing in magazines quite a lot, and obviously we've all read all the magazines for most of our careers, so you're kind of used to sort of what it looks like and how it feels to be part of it, but actually organising it is like a whole different ball. And
submitting an article is one thing. Actually,
submitting an article is easy in comparison. I used to find that quite because I absolutely love writing. I really, really enjoy writing.
Me too.
Sure. But it was like, that deadline's coming, and like, oh my God, like, okay, now I've got to go and write about whatever it is I said I was going to write about. So there's always a bit of pressure with it. And then that, how are people going to view it? How are people going to judge it? How are people going to like it? Are they think I'm wrong? All of those, sort of imposter syndrome things that come out whenever
my gosh,
But this is like on a different level. But I do really enjoy doing it, and it's
I mean, you put me onto it a few weeks ago. I actually didn't know. So I've been and had a stalk at me.
Yeah, do. Because we've got digital. You can buy a digital copy or a print copy.
I do have the digital copy. Yeah, and
it's just so good. And like we've got like I think we've got 30 collaborative columnists writing with us, and we're so different to all the other magazines. There's not a journalist in sight. All of us are pure professionals, coaches, experts in whatever it is that we're writing about.
That's something I took away from it, that when I was looking at all the contributors, all the people that wrote for the different sections, that none of them had a journalism degree between them. They were all just purely professionals, passionate about the things they were writing about, from the knowledge that they've gained over so many years. So tell us again what that's called and where we can find it.
So Salon Education Journal, you can find it at saloneducationjournal.co.uk/subscribe. But so basically it sort of came off the back. And the reason that we did it was Di, who's my business partner with Nabuno. She's got a whole background that's like, we kind of blend together quite well, because obviously I've got all of the salon professional side and all the stuff that I've done historically, but she comes from a place of sales, marketing, graphic design, social media management, marketing, all that kind of stuff. And so she used to work in publications years ago, and we wanted to kind of create something where we could kind of promote Nabuno, because we can't, like, to be completely honest, we can't afford to advertise in our trade press. It's beyond our costings at this point. And so we thought we'd just do something really small that we could kind of give out as a free digital thing, and just sort of market Nabuno a little bit through that, but just put some interesting content in and just create something small. And then in August last year, we were supposed to be doing a strategic planning meeting, and Di said, but you do realise we could just make a trade publication. I was like, yeah, don't be stupid.
Yours and her relationship sounds a little bit like mine and Stephen's, when he'll come up with something that's plainly obvious, and I go, you can't do that, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, actually, why can't I do that?
So we went from this sort of like 32-page fairly small publication to like, okay, well, if we did it like this, I can go through my black book and find some people, maybe we can get some people to do some articles for us, and by within 3 hours we had I think we were looking at initially at about an 80-odd page magazine.
Wow.
With quite a few people writing for us, and by 6 o'clock that evening we had 120 pages with the first of the 30 collaborative columnists signed up, and I just spent the whole afternoon just voice noting people, going, right, okay, I'm doing this, do you want to be part of it? You're not going to get paid, we'll give you some benefits, but you're not going to get paid, but can you just give us your time for the next year, do 4 articles for us, and we'll give you a load of we'll give you like loads of coverage and marketing, so you get something back out of it, but you just want to do it for nothing. And we want you to do it for nothing.
You know what? I think the other thing that I've noticed from reading the articles is I hadn't realised they were doing it for nothing, but that they are so, it's not that happy to be there, they're happy to be passing on what they know.
Yeah.
So knowing now that they are doing that for passion, that makes all those articles seem
It's
an
and it
awful
is.
lot
I mean,
more personal.
we like, we're the thing is, and with all of it, like, we're being completely transparent. All of our collaborative columnists, they all get like quid pro quo kind of things. So they've all got, like, they've all got little things like, they can be on Nabuno. They can, I can't even think what we give them now. I can't remember. They can have like, but that they can advertise in a magazine for like, like they get one free sort of small advert, and then they can upgrade for like a reasonable price kind of thing.
Yeah.
So they get a few kickbacks for it, but that's
Yeah.
it. And obviously, whenever we're talking about them, we're promoting them across our network. So
exactly,
them, it's like free marketing.
it is. Yeah.
So
they
we have
are
fewer
really at the
people
top of
wanting
their
to be collaborative columnists.
yeah, and they are at the top of their game.
Yeah.
Some of the names are just phenomenal.
Yeah,
Top
it
of their
is.
game, and to be able to get that information that they've stored over the years out to people.
Yeah, it is. And there's a whole thing like Debbie Lewis, who writes with us, who, if you don't know who Debbie Lewis is, go and stalk her, because she is one of the most amazing business minds in our industry. And she's so amazing that she's actually now a regional ecosystem manager for NatWest. Because she's like, her business, she's amazing. I absolutely adore her. And when I met her, voice noted her, and I've known her since COVID actually, and we have met a couple of times, and I really just, I'm so in awe of what she does, because she's just this like sponge of business knowledge. And so I just voiced noted and was like, "Hi Debbie, like, I'm doing this magazine. What do you think? Would you want to? I don't, like, please don't feel obliged, but and that whole, like, all that imposter syndrome comes up of like, oh, like, I can't believe I'm actually asking Debbie Lewis if she's going to do this." And she messaged me back, and she's like, "Yeah, where do I sign up? Like, why would I not do this?" And it's like, and the amount of people that I just thought, I'm just going to be brave, and I'm just going to message all these people. A lot of them I know, but that in a very different role from what I normally would speak to them in.
Yes, exactly.
And there wasn't a single person that said no. And so Debbie's on with us, but I forgot what I was going to say about Debbie now. Yeah, that's it. But one of the first posts that she did was, she was talking about being on the being part of the columnist group, and she hashtag leave the ladder down. And I was like, that's it. That's what this is. And it kind of sums up everything that I do, everything I want to be, everything I want people to know me for, everything I want our industry to be, is to hashtag leave the ladder down. And Debbie's like, that was, and it wasn't her hashtag. She'd seen it somewhere else before, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, but that's the
then
point,
did go and
isn't
research it to make sure it wasn't anybody's particular sort of trademarked one or anything.
Yeah.
But that we've taken that as our what every single post you see coming out from SCJ will have the hashtag leave the ladder down.
Leave the ladder down. It's the perfect way to describe what you're doing. You're trying to make sure everybody can get up.
Yeah.
Everybody can rise.
Yeah. Because we all know there's, in whatever part of the like the salon industry you're in, whether you're in beauty, aesthetics, in nails, in massage, whatever it is, there's a group of people that have gone before that pulled that ladder up and shut the door.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's so unfair.
And I have come across a few of those in my years. I really have. And it's so sad, because at one point they were asking people for help.
Yeah. And we've all been there. We've all had to start somewhere, and we've all grown. And why shouldn't we share that knowledge? And like, sometimes people should pay for that knowledge. In a lot of examples, people should pay for that knowledge. But sometimes when it's just a comment that someone needs of like, actually, if you thought about doing it this way, it doesn't hurt. And and so the whole everything that we are doing with Nabuno, with Salon Education Journal, with the Career and Small Business Hub that we're operating next week at Professional Beauty, everything is about sharing knowledge, supporting each other, and helping people grow.
Yeah, and for me, I have 27 years, and there have been a lot of times where I've had a great idea, and I've just felt it should really like explode. This is what people need.
Yeah.
And keep coming up against kind of just falling just that little bit short every time, to the point where I go, do you know, it's just not worth it for me. My time and my energy, and there's got to be so many people out there that feel that they just they can see the ladder and they can get the end of their nails, because we've all got long nails. We can get as end of his nails on, but we can't get his fingers around it to be able to pull ourselves up.
Absolutely.
And it's just there.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating sometimes. And if you can just get, maybe, like you said, just a little sometimes it's the smallest thing that you just go, oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
If I do
Just
that.
those light bulb moments. And I think we just need to, you know, there's been, and I think a lot of the people that I network with, you know, we've all had this view of like collaboration over competition. And there's a huge number of people that I know personally that we are all trying really, really hard to connect with each other and share each other's businesses, and just to kind of help each other out, give each other a bit of a leg up, and stop being selfish, because that's basically what it comes down to. And yeah, that might be a bit of a harsh thing to say.
I think sometimes, there are people out there that are selfish with their time and their knowledge, but I think a lot of people out there have just got so far up, it's kind of like, again, you know, like a little bit of complacency. Like they forget that they were once there. It's not that they're trying to be mean with it. This is what I've come across. It just feels like they're kind of done. I've given so much of my time.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is, you know, it's funny. Helen Maud, who I'm doing this event with, I can keep banging on about the event next weekend, but
just
me and Helen that are doing this, you know, we reckon we're doing it for free. We're not earning any money out of it. You know, well, I say that we're doing it for free. We are doing that. We're giving our time freely, but obviously it raises awareness of our brands, and it does an awful lot for our marketing, you know, and we're very aware that we will have more brand awareness as a result of it. But so far we've probably put in between 100 and 150 hours each to make this event happen. And we aren't being paid for that time. We're having to find that time in amongst all the other stuff that we're doing. But because we're both so passionate about what it is that we're trying to do with this event, and about, you know, for Helen, everything about this event is about supporting business owners whilst they're going through some of the most challenging times in our industry's scene ever, you know, with businesses closing, salons on the high street closing their doors constantly, and we can't recruit staff because now everybody wants to be a business owner. And those that are wanting to, you know, leave employment and be a business owner don't know how to do it, so then they're struggling, and then they're getting stressed, and there's this real awful catch-22 that's going on in the industry. And for me, it's about, you know, imparting education. I mean, obviously that's important as well, everything that Helen's talking about. But for me, my passion around why I'm doing this is because that education thing is key. And we've got 34, I think there's 34 of us are going to be working at the hub over the 2 days of Pro Beauty.
Amazing.
But, you know, and all of those people are giving their time free. And, you know, you can, like, we're about to put out over this weekend, I think maybe later today, you know, we've got people like Debbie Lewis, Carl Hinder, I'm trying to think of the people now, Donna Clayton, Sam Blake. I think we've got something like 10 to 12 business specialist coaches, experts in what they do, who are giving, you know, 30-minute sessions. Most of them are probably giving 2 or 3 30-minute sit-down one-to-one sessions free of charge.
That's amazing. That's a resource you couldn't buy.
Yeah, but this is it. It's like when you start talking about collaboration and raising all of us together, people want to help, and people want to be part of it, because they want to be, I think, firstly, you know, they want to be seen to be doing the right thing by the industry, but also, you know, it obviously all of them that are doing it, they're going to, you know, their profile will be raised, and there'll be awareness about who they are and all that kind of stuff. So you do get that part of it, but it, you know, fundamentally, all of them want to come and help, and they want to help people improve their situation at the moment.
Oh gosh, I can't wait to see the results of what comes out of this weekend.
It's going to, honestly,
it's going to be quite spectacular.
It's going to be amazing. I can't wait.
I know.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, I wish I can't even get.
And we've got our launch party as well. We've got like the Salon Education Journal and the Hair and Beauty Directory launch party on the Saturday night. So it's going to be like,
And I'm stuck up here in the north.
I know. Well, you could come.
I could, but I couldn't, because Sunday we have got a very special event with my brother-in-law and his girlfriend. So unfortunately, that took priority. But next year I'm definitely going. Next year,
well, we'll see. Because Helen and I keep going, if we do this again, this again, and but it is. I mean, it will be amazing. You know, we've got like just to sort of go on about it a bit more. Round tables. With, I think we're still trying to get the final numbers from Professional Beauty on how many people will be sat at the tables, but it's probably going to be about 10 people at a table, 2 or 3 experts leading a conversation. around finance, around mindset, around goal setting, around growing your business, about scaling, about how to employ staff. We've got a careers fair on the Monday from 11 till 2 for all the further education colleges and the private academies coming, so that we can help their students understand how to come into industry and all the different career pathways and the routes through, and how to grow if they want to start their business, what things to look out for. Honestly, the timetables are all over the place, and
that will be a massive collaboration. If you've got 10 people around a
huge.
table and 2 of them are experts, you're going to get
questions
that maybe you wouldn't have thought.
We've got three. We've got the schedule is mad. You can find, if you look up Career and Small Business Hub, if there's an event, and you can see all the timetables and stuff in there. And it is epic. It's on our website, it's on the Buno website, it's on the Southern Education Journal website, it's on the Hair and Beauty Directory website, it's on Pro Beauty website, so you can go and find all the timetables and stuff, and go and see who you can sit down with when. And it's just like all of the round tables are just like rock up and take a seat. Then we've got like mentor people that are going to be in the hub that are just there to come and have a chat with. We've got people that are safe spaces to come and talk to. Like we've got Tracy Munro, who's like menopause specialist. So you can come and sit and have a chat with Tracy if menopause is causing you issues personally, or if you want to know how to incorporate it into your business. We've got people talking about there to help with neurodivergence, with health and safety. I want to say just so much stuff.
So much stuff. Like you say there, the things that you wouldn't think of unless somebody said to you, this is something maybe you should look into, like the menopause thing. It's something that's been very prevalent in my salon for myself and some of my co-workers, some of the girls that work with me. It's been a big thing, and we've been together for a lot of years. Then all of a sudden, it's kind of like, me and Jilly at work actually said, weirdly, we have been together for 7 years, and in the last 7 years, and I've been doing this 27 years now, and in 27 years, I think I probably had 5 conversations about menopause when one of my clients would go, oh, I'm having a hot flush, let me go and get a fan. And that was it. And then all of a sudden, it's affecting us personally. And now I think probably at least 6 times a week, when the salon is full of women, I mean, women from 19 to 60, 70 all together in a place, and we're all sharing those ideas. Again, it's that collaboration. And these young girls are going, I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. And if you aren't asking the right questions, you aren't going to get an answer to something that might occur to you later on. And it's the same with the business management. If you aren't asking the right questions, or somebody isn't giving you the information that you don't think you need right now, but then in 10 years' time, you might go, I actually know that.
I just think that
big light bulb moment.
And I think like with menopause, it's a hot word at the moment. And
thanks Davina.
Absolutely, thanks Davina. And I think, thanks to people like her and Louise Newsom, like one of the biggest clinicians that's pushing forward the agenda for menopause. There is I'm now postmenopausal, quite happily.
And I'm peri, so
are you? Lucky you. But I'm post. I don't know, my peri was quite easy actually, but my post is even better. HRT'd up, love it. But I think you're probably the first generation of women that are talking about it, that are open about it. I mean, I cannot imagine my mum. I know I won't lower the tone too much on your podcast, but I can't imagine my mum talking about regions and whether or not they were dry. And because I'm not going to say those words, because I just
don't say the M word, please. Just don't say the M word.
No. But our parents wouldn't have spoken about this stuff.
No, my mum actually said to me a couple of years ago, because this has been going on for a couple of years now for me. I bent over. We were helping decorate my daughter's flat, and I bent over, and when I got back up, my mum says, "You need to go sit down. You've gone really, really red." And I said, "Yeah, I'm just having a bit of a hot flush, and I don't tend to have too many. I'm quite lucky." But she says, "I'm so glad I didn't have to suffer that. I breezed through mine." And I just looked at her and I went, "Really?" And she's like, "Yeah, I didn't really have any symptoms. My period just stopped and it was fine." And I went, "Do you not remember those 2 years where you couldn't get out of bed for more than a 4-hour period without having to go and cry in your bed? And your stomach used to blow up like you were full-term pregnant."
She's like, she's got rose-tinted glasses.
She says, we're an hormone imbalance. I went, "It was menopause."
Yeah.
And she went,
"Really?"
And she thought she breezed through it because she was told it was going to be this, and this, and none of the other things were menopause.
There's actually something like 35 symptoms of menopause.
I know. And my doctor said to me, I was moaning, I'm really itchy
Yeah.
And he went, that's not a symptom of menopause.
Oh,
And I'm
it
like,
is.
well,
So
people
is.
find it is. And yeah, he was adamant, itching is not a sign of menopause. And then I spoke to a
Oh,
female doctor and she's like, oh my God, that must be driving you mad.
yeah.
Let's get you on some HRT. Literally
Oh,
like
don't-
that.
I
Just
c-
let's
yeah.
get you on some.
Listen, we could have a whole podcast just about
We could.
menopause.
Listen, that's
Anyway.
exactly the point. Is I am actually going to be doing a whole podcast. I've got a conversation with quite a few specialists coming up in the next couple of weeks where I'm
Excellent.
recording, putting it all together. So if you've listened to this podcast and think, oh, I want to learn more about menopause,
Yeah.
as well as pro beauty and
everything else.
and everything, they're all going to be on the podcast. I'm going to have them
Yeah.
all. Chronic illness too. I'm
It's
also
a
doing a
massive,
special on
massive
chronic illness.
subject.
Yep, so that's my plug. So yeah, how did you get into the industry? Where did you kind of
Let's get back to the question.
Yeah.
So, first of all, I kind of, when I was at school, I was probably in, well, what you'd now call year 7 or year 8.
Yeah.
I was like first or second year seniors. And in the school I was in, it was a really amazing school. And as part of what they did, they had a massive adult education centre. And for some reason, they let children go to these classes. I don't know why. It's really weird. Like, it must have been sort of like late, I don't know, it was like late 70s. I have no idea how this happened. But there was a class on.
Very progressive.
Yeah, I know. There was a class on called Beauty and Makeup. And me and my friends went to go and see what this was all about. And it was actually, I don't know, there was a makeup, I think they're still around. There was a makeup range called Vanda. They were like sort of a bit like Oriflame and Mary Kay, that kind of sort of like,
oh yes, yeah,
bit like MLM really. And the lady that ran these classes was a Vanda rep, and so she used to teach us how to put makeup on, and she taught us about deportment, and she taught us how to make flowers out of tissues out of a box, which I can still do now. It's still a skill I have. But she taught us all this stuff about how to do makeup, and I got really quite obsessed by doing makeup. And I used to like make my mum sit there and I do all her makeup, and probably make her look like a clown, but I thought she looked amazing. And our neighbour, who, like, the daughter was probably about 7 years older than me, 8 years older. She'd gone to college and done hair and beauty, and then she went and worked in Bermuda. I mean, like, this is like 1978, 79. So this was like, oh my God, that's the most amazing thing in the whole wide world. I want to go and work in Bermuda. And I'm going to go and be, I'm going to be a beauty. I think, I don't know what I even knew it to be, but I want to do makeup and beauty stuff. And that kind of became my goal from probably about the age of 12. And then,
early.
Yeah. And that's what I wanted to do. And I knew I wanted to do it. So, like, when I was going to college and when I was coming to the end of like my secondary education, I sort of did the whole careers talk thing. I actually at one point did want to go and work in the stock exchange. And I went to the careers, because I do like maths and numbers. So I went and I spoke to the careers officer, and they told me I wasn't allowed to do it because I was a girl. Which I was
no women on the shop floor, no women on the trading floor.
There wasn't then at that point. I mean, now they are allowed on the trading floors, but back in the late 70s, no women were allowed on the trading floors. It was not a job a girl could have, and I was quite upset by that.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's like, because I've always been a bit of a I'm not like a staunch feminist, but I've always believed that we should have the right to do things if we want to. So I was quite put out. And then I did look at nursery nursing for a while, because I sort of didn't mind children at that point.
Standard, we've all done that.
Yeah, looked at nursery nursing, looked at the NNEB, and was like, oh, I don't know if that's for me. And I just kept coming back to beauty. And so I applied. But in the meantime, I met my now husband, who likes, we've been together for a very, very long time. And I sort of like lost my way a little bit and didn't really get the exam results I needed, because back then to do beauty, you needed to have 5 O levels to get into beauty. And I kind of messed it up a little bit, and I didn't get the grades I needed. So I then went off. My mum was like, I don't know what you want to do that for anyway. Why don't you just go and learn to type? You'll never be without a job. Which ironically is actually the opposite of the way the world has become.
Yes.
And as a beauty therapist,
I'm literally sitting with my hand on my forehead going, yeah, bad advice, Mum.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, who knew that, you know, you were going to be able to audio dictate into a thing, and everyone would be typing their own emails, you know, in the 2000s.
Or more recently, typing a few keywords to AI.
Yeah, that's it. Who knew that was going to be a thing? So I kind of ended up going into secretarial, and I was a PA, admin manager, all sorts of stuff, going through private sector. Worked in insurance, worked in where else did I work in? I can't remember what I worked in. I used to work for Unicorn Darts and Gunnermore Cricket.
wow.
I used to work for them as well as sales PA for a while.
Well, that stood you in really good stead for, like, even though you wanted to do beauty, you finally got into beauty, and it's actually, they've benefited you because
massively.
it's
I
good to have
worked
business
in
background.
international shipping. I was an import clerk. I used to do
Wow.
all like imports from Italy. Oh my God, some amazing stuff. Used to like, I had this guy sent me the most beautiful dress once. I was thinking about it the other day because I really would love to have that dress again now. Yeah, but I worked in international shipping. I worked in in sales for Unicorn Darts and Gunnermore Cricket. Then I went to work for an insurance brokers like pension company, and then I ended up working in the health service until I got made redundant when I had postnatal depression because they're so caring.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't like it when I had postnatal depression. So when I was
Yeah.
off, they just went, "Oh, we're going to restructure." Like, bye. But I used to work I was a PA to the chief executive guys in St Thomas's Hospital. I was a
Wow.
PA to the financial director at St Thomas's and at Guy's separately. And then I ended up being I was the administration and reception services manager for the finance department. Was my last job.
Ooh, that does sound very fancy.
It was, I know. They said to me, through sort of like a weird sort of like thing, this job was kind of like created for me. And they're like, what do you want to be called? And I was like, I don't know. And we had, I was like the admin manager, and I had the receptions team that I used to manage. So it was,
just ram it all together, make it sound fancy.
It was very fancy. And I ran a 7-story building and used to, I didn't do all the proper facilities management, but I used to organise all of the administrative structures for that building for the finance department. So I used to look after all the health and safety, fire, all of the like stationery ordering, stuff like that. I used to manage a reception team and used to manage, I think I had about 5 managers that I used to look after all of their stuff as well. And so it was a very,
really, looking back at that, even though at first you go, oh, really sad that you'd always wanted to do beauty and you didn't get to do it from word go. But actually looking back, it's like you probably wouldn't be doing what you're doing now.
No. And
that sliding doors,
is absolutely. But all the way through that, every September there used to be a book in London called Floodlight, and every summer I'd go and buy Floodlight and I'd sit looking at all the beauty courses and how I could work out how to do beauty. And it never ever left. It was always there. I always wanted to go and do like an evening course, and I either couldn't afford it because at the time in my 20s, like we were living in 15% mortgage rates and stuff, and it was life was challenging. So I just spent my whole time, every time there was a new academic year, I'd be like, how can I do this year? And I used to look at all the private colleges, but even back then, like to do beauty at a private college was probably about £1,200, which back in the 80s and early 90s was a lot of money. Yeah. And I just couldn't do it. I was probably only earning about 10 grand a year for a lot of that time. So to lose all that money was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And then after I got made redundant from the health service and I'd had my first, my daughter, then I sort of
time on your hands.
Yeah, I had time on my hands, and I sort of kept thinking. So I did flower arranging, which has come back to bite me on the backside at the moment because I've just been asked to do all the flowers for my niece's wedding.
Oh yeah.
So I had a stint doing. I think that was it was Prozac driven though, and I had a stint doing like wedding flowers, and I did wedding flowers for a couple of years, and but still used to be quite obsessed by I'm going to do beauty at some point.
Yeah.
And then I was working in a cinema. I worked in a very posh bit of the cinema in the gallery at Bluewater, and so we just used to run the bar, and we used to look after the posh people, and it was really good though. It fitted in with the kids and it kind of worked. But one of the girls there used to get her nails done in what I would now refer to as a non-standard salon.
Yeah,
and I didn't know any different because you don't know any different.
No,
and I used to say to her, like, where'd you get your nails done? Oh, and I ended up going there to get my nails done for the Christmas. And I carried on going. And by the April, this is like back in 2002, by the April, I was like, I just need to learn how to do this myself because this is bad. And that's where it started, was I went and in April 2002, I went and trained as a nail technician. And the thing is, and I know that the lady that trained me actually went on to become like an NVQ educator and stuff. But at the time, the training wasn't great.
My first lot wasn't either. No. But it spurs you on, doesn't it? You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
I think I trained on Oxford Street. I don't even know how much it cost. It was 1996. My stepdad paid for it for me because my mum had done the course, and I was working in childcare, and when
Yeah.
you're autoimmune, you're immune suppressed, working with children is a nightmare because
Yeah.
you're always ill. And my mum had just done this week-long course, and I says, "Oh, I fancy that." And he's like, "Oh, well, I'll send you then." So he sent me off, and I look back now and I think, God, if that
Yeah.
was the standard now, even the really crappy courses, what face-to-face are better than that.
Yeah.
But you've got to
And I
start
was,
somewhere. And back then it was,
yeah. It
yeah.
wasn't great. But then I found Nail Geek and asked lots and lots of questions and got told by, I can remember once, and I don't know if she said it to me personally, but I know I read her saying it, and Gigi Rouse, the creative, the Queen, said, and you know what? And I've used this so many times with people. She said that you won't be good at what you do until you've done 1,000 sets of nails.
Yeah.
And I can remember being absolutely mortified and just like, well, that's just pulled the rug out from under my feet. Like, how am I ever going to get to do 1,000 sets of nails? But I've come to the conclusion, and I think, not that I want to disagree with Gigi at all, but I think that what is a better way of looking at it, and what I've explained to my students when I've taught over the years, is that it's about 1,000 services. It isn't 1,000 sets of nails. To do 1,000 full sets of nails is never going to be the thing. It's 1,000 services, because within those 1,000 services, there will be infills, there'll be rebalances, there'll be repairs, there'll be something that fell off, there'll be, I wasn't happy with the color, there'll be, I don't like the length, there'll be, I want a different shape. And there's going to be all of those things within those 1,000 services that will make you the expert.
Yeah, exactly. That's really important point, actually, because it's repetition of certain things that you do, no matter what the service is. It's repetition of things that will make you an expert. So your filing technique, your filing technique doesn't just come from doing a full set. Your filing techniques comes from debulking or refining. Or
and one of the simplest things that I ever learned was back in 2010. And the thing is, and for most of us, and especially with acrylic, like it was back around sort of 2000, it wasn't a great product back then, was it? Let's face it. Filing was massive. You had to have a 100 grit file to try and break through it. So nowadays, really, you could get through most acrylic with a 180 and it's fine. But back then, you had to go through your 180, like through your 100 to your 150 to your 180 to your 240. I used to have like 7 files and buffers out every time I was doing a set of nails. And but I remember going to Young Nails, and I did a course. I did a day with Steve Dodd at Young Nails, and we were talking like filing practice and stuff. And he showed me, do you know what? And it's one of the most simple techniques: an oval on the I can't even think what the term is now. I haven't taught for so many years, but putting like using a Sharpie and creating like a filled in circle on top of the nail, and making sure that disappears. And once you do that, you get the most perfectly shaped nail.
Yeah.
And it's like there's something so simple that refined my filing skills. And that was like 8 years in, and I thought I was okay when I went up there. But that was actually e-file training I did with him, to do it on an e-file. But it works against
with the natural file as well. It sometimes, like you said, we talked earlier about this, it just takes one comment that can change everything for you, whether it be in your marketing, your socials, and down to this: stop holding your nail file like this, and somebody putting it in your hand and going, that's going to make it easier for you. And somebody did that to me in my early days, took the file out of my hand and rested it like a pen. And I just went, oh, that's
really
so much. Wow.
It's mad.
I can file instead of like filing at it like I was soaring. I was gliding, and I was backwards and forwards, and and I could move my arm up and down, and it just, I was like, wow, this is unbelievable.
It is those
for anybody
moments, isn't it?
I'm just sitting here in my bedroom in front of my dress.
And I can remember
to file. It looks very weird in the window.
I know it does. It is. I think filing does look really weird, and if someone's doing it in a cat-handed way, it's even more peculiar.
Oh my gosh,
It's trying to get people to understand that that's not how you do it. It's like, you just need to do it like this, and
I taught for a few years for a friend in Barnsley's training academy, and you had girls coming in going, I've been doing it for years. I learned off of YouTube. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, so I just need the certificate really to be able to go and work in a salon. And they sit down and I go, just know. Everything you're doing, just know. You're gonna shorten your career exponentially by the way you're doing things. You're gonna either hurt your clients or hurt yourself. Let's start from scratch. And they're the ones that are actually harder to teach because they've got ideas. Them that come in and go, I've never even painted a nail in my life. I don't know what I'm doing, but I want to do it.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are really easy to teach.
Yeah, because they've got no preconceived.
No preconceptions. And filing, teaching somebody to file properly, you'd think it'd be very, very simple. It really is quite hard.
It is. Yeah, because it's like I had to teach some girls to knit once, and that was really hard. And I had to try and teach someone that was left-handed how to knit, and that I literally I couldn't do it.
Yeah, I did have a few left-handed students, and it's kind of like I can't.
Yeah,
I can't comprehend.
Just
I can't translate.
Behind me and look at me in the mirror.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my word.
Oh, yeah. But so that so I did. So 2002 I started, and then and I got like actually this is really good. And then in 2003, I wasn't really I was doing my own nails, and I was sort of doing a few friends and models and that kind of stuff, but I wasn't really using it very much. And then in 2003 I went on a spa weekend with my best mate, and we went to a very beautiful hotel called Roe Hill Grange down in Kent. And we both went in for these treatments, and I came out and I was like, I really just need to do this. I've got to get this out of my system. I need to go and do this for a living. I cannot do this anymore. And at the time, I think I was working for the a company called Global Home Loans, who were an outsource of the Woolwich Building Society, and we used to look after all the mortgage accounts and stuff. I was in a call centre, and just something again to fit in around the kids, and not really utilising any of the skills I had previously, just doing something to get by. And so we were at this spa weekend, and I came back and I was like, right, I'm going to do it. She went, I'll come and do it with you. Let's see what we can find. So we found a course for Indian head massage, and I phoned up, and they happened to have 2 people had dropped out that morning, and it started the next day.
Oh, wow.
I was like, okay, there's serendipity for you.
Yeah.
So yes, I started Indian head massage the next day. And that was really the start of my career, because from that point on, I knew that this was going to be what I did. And the nails and at that point, the nails kind of went out the window a little bit. I wasn't that fussed about doing nails. I really wanted to be a therapist. And I then went on, I then moved house. And a year after I moved house, my friend was like, I've seen the course you need to do. And if you don't phone and book it, I'm going to drag you to the college, and I'm going to stand over you till you do it. And I did. So in 2004, I started my diploma in holistic therapies, and did reflexology, aromatherapy, body massage, and anatomy and physiology, and holistic practice. And it was the best thing I ever did. And I still hanker massively after just being a pure Zen therapist. I still would love to do that. But
it sounds amazing.
It didn't kind of it never happened. And I've done a lot of it over the years, but then I made a connection. There was I don't know, you may well remember, Rachel Myatt, K Sarah, the nail store. Do you remember K Sarah? All the nail art stuff?
Yes, I do, very much.
So Rachel was like my first proper step into industry, and she happened to have a salon that was about half a mile away from where I lived. And she had all of her nail art stuff there. So I had this event I was doing in the school, like, so I was on the chair of the PTA as well, because I like testing myself. And so I popped in there to pick up some glitter, got chatting to a couple of the girls that worked in there with her. And they were saying, oh, what do you do? Blah, blah, blah. Got chatting. And I said, I'm just finishing college, and I'm going to be a therapist. And they said, oh, actually, do you know what? Our therapy rooms just become available. Like, I think the girl that was doing beauty up there is leaving. Give us, if you got a number, and I'll get the owner to give you a call. And
that's
I was
amazing.
Like, I kind of know who the owner of this is, and I don't know. They're going to phone, because I had Rachel's K Sarah nail art book, so I was a bit in awe, because I was just like, this sort of person just sort of trying to do their job a little bit and not doing very well. And anyway, so Rachel phoned me, and I said, do you want to come for an interview? I was like, really? Okay. So I went in for an interview, and she said, oh, you do all this? That's lovely. You can have the space, and we can do it on whatever arrangement. But I see you do nails. And I'm like, oh, not really. I want to be a Zen therapist. That's what I want to be now. I don't really want to do nails. And so she's like, okay, well, if you want to sort of, you can do these days of the week, blah, blah, blah. Rooms available on those days, so you can have the rooms those days. First time I go over there, she's booked me in to do a set of nails. I'm like, I don't do nails. I don't want to do nails anymore. I decided I'm going to be Zen, and I'm going to be tranquil, and I'm not going to sit with doing nails. And she's like, yeah, but you can do nails, and I need someone to do some nails. So why don't you do that? I was like, oh, and that was the wonderful, wonderful client of mine, a lady by the name of Carol, who was my client through to when I left the area a couple of years ago. An absolute divine, just, yeah, you know, when you have those like other mother clients that are just absolute.
I've had quite a lot of those over the years. It's so lovely, a relationship, isn't it?
Yeah, she's held my hand through so many things over the years, and I've held her hand through so many things over the years. And it's like, you know, there's the relationship I had with her was just so special. And she was my first ever client, and it took me about 3 hours to do her infills, and she just sat patiently letting me do them.
Yeah.
It's awful. But and that really, that meeting and that starting of working with Rachel was like the difference to how my career then progressed.
That's amazing. Wow, what an amazing story.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had some really inspiring stories.
Yeah, but that led to so much. And it's funny because Rachel and I, we don't see each other or have a relationship any longer. But I always, you know, no matter what ended up happening and how we ended up,
fully grateful for that.
Yeah,
that
always.
moment.
And you know, and even, you know, when I won my big scratch, like my services to industry, and by that point we no longer had a relationship in place. And but even with that, you know, I still, and I always will, because if I hadn't walked into her salon that day, I would not. There is absolutely no way on this earth would I be doing the things I'm doing now.
Yeah.
And you know, and no matter what relationship is, you have to recognize when people have been a major part in what gave you an opportunity.
Oh, 100%. I've had quite a few.
And
I've had quite a few relationships go south within the industry, but they've all taught you something.
Yeah, massively.
Every single person teaches you something. So what would you do now then? Say that tomorrow the beauty industry failed completely, or was like that film about the Beatles songs, everybody forgetting them. If nobody wanted beauty anymore, or it wasn't a thing, what would you do?
Oh,
I mean, you've done so much. What would you go back?
I know, that's it. We've not even talked about half the things I've done. Yeah, but I think, I don't know. There is actually days when I do sort of think I'm going to go and get a proper job, because and I think that probably comes from my mum being like, you know, what do you do that for? Go and get yourself a proper job. And I think, and that's still those childhood like learned patterns of behaviour are still in my head. And I think probably, like, whenever I look, when I think that's it, I'm going to go and get a job and do something else, I'll probably, at the moment, I actually do, like, really randomly, I actually like a little estate agency freelancing job at the moment, because I really enjoy it. And it gets me out and about. I go doing floor plans and doing viewings and stuff. And do you know what? Being in a new area, I mean, we moved from Kent to Norfolk. So I know nobody. I don't know the area. I don't know where anything is. And it's been actually brilliant for like kind of grounding me and getting me out and about and knowing what the area is like and all that kind of stuff. It's been really, really useful tool. Plus I get paid some money to do it. And I just
think I'd like something like that.
I've not done any for a couple of weeks, but it's like I pick and choose what I do when I want to do it. And but I really quite enjoy that. And I've always had a bit of an obsession around all the property programs. And I think probably I would go into property, and I would go into building a portfolio and doing that.
That'd be amazing. Wow, what an amazing. Yeah, I do, like, me and my husband every now and again, and I'll be sat, we'll have a Sunday, neither of us are working, and I'll go, should we see if there's any new builds in the area we can drive to, on new house porn?
And I thought, so we were going to move to France, so and even now I still hanker after like the whole like life in France thing. But
we're wanting to go to Spain.
I'd love to, but I think it's so hard to know what I want. I did used to want to have like a wedding emporium and have everything in one place, but I don't know. Or I'd probably go and just do something. I mean, I always joke, but I'm just going to go and stack shelves in Sainsbury's, and I think there's a lot to be said for that, because it's just after all of the madness that this industry brings, and like and what all the entrepreneurial stuff brings, of like that constant brain work all the time, you just don't ever switch off.
Turning up at a particular time and leaving at a particular time, doing your job, don't take it home
don't
with
have
you
to worry
unless you
about
slip
it.
some baked beans in your knickers.
No one's looking to you for an answer.
No.
And I think, you know, to be in a role where no one's looking to you for an answer, and you don't have to be a decision maker.
What happened with COVID, that people that were stacking shelves became heroes.
Yeah.
They became actual heroes because they were turning up to work when the world was falling apart and making sure we all had food on the shelves, which
Oh, like
sometimes
toilet
didn't
rolls.
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, toilet rolls. Oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, literally, I think knowing you, Sid, you could probably do all of those things all at once while
Yeah.
living in France and traveling back to work in Sainsbury's.
I know, because I did when we were looking at doing France, I was like, okay, if we do France, if we keep a flat or something, if we'd like buy something really small in France, we can get like a really small flat where we like near where we used to live, and I can just like commute backwards and forwards to the salon like once every 2 or 3 weeks. I'll just go back and do like 4 days worth of clients.
Yeah.
And but yeah,
Why not?
It didn't. But it didn't pan out that way. But
Yeah.
there's so many things that we haven't even touched on that I've done that are just all those moments of like, you see someone says, do you want to? And you go, yeah, okay, why not?
Are you a yeah or why not kind of? Because I do find myself saying yeah and then figuring out how to do it later.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I'm afraid of saying no, because it might be a moment that passes me by that won't come again.
Right.
But then I sit there and I worry myself to death.
Yeah.
How am I supposed to do it?
Yeah. And I'm reading a book at the moment. It's the book we've got on our, like the SCJ book club. It's got book club. And it's called, what's it called? It's Indomitable Spirit, The Glory of Being Ordinary, by a lady called Dawn Willock, who I met at a big conference event recently. And her book is all about that kind of like, it's all based around an experience she had with her mum dying, and her mum having regret. And so she's written this whole book around, you know, that you don't want to be in your last 24 hours of your life regretting what you didn't do, or even regretting what you did do. But you don't.
I'd rather the saying goes though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Regret the things you did do, not the things you didn't.
Yeah. And I think that it kind of resonates with me so much, because everything I've always done, I am very much say yes, think about it later. Yeah. And that's got me into trade associates, like into the FMP. It got me into like trying to start a trade association with Belinda Price and Amanda Gould years ago. It got me into being a distributor that I really didn't like doing. It got me into doing Nabuno. It got me into doing the magazine. It's, you know, all these things you say yes and you figure it out. And sometimes things are wrong and you just go, actually, no, that isn't for me. But I want to have those experiences, and I want to understand if I can do it. Can I challenge myself? If I'm capable of doing it, and if I'm not capable of doing it, then understanding that that's not a failure. It's just that isn't the pathway for me.
But you will have learned something from that. Even if you fail, you learn something from that.
Absolutely.
You learn not to do it that way again.
Yeah. Failure is just a step on the pathway to success in my head.
Yeah. Oh, Sue, I could literally talk to you all day.
Yeah.
But I'm sure both of us have got things that pay us.
Yeah, if only I did. This is the ridiculous thing. It's all the stuff I do, and I don't get paid for any of it. It's like my husband goes mad.
I've got to go into the salon because 90% of the things I do pay me nothing.
Yeah,
not a penny.
No,
My husband's like, have you got any clients this week? And I go, no, recording 3 podcasts.
Yeah,
and
I've not even got my salon anymore. So it's like, you know, since then, it's like now it's crunch time now.
Oh, right. Well, you go and do something that doesn't pay you, and I'll do something that pays me quite a small amount, and then I can come home and do the things that I enjoy doing.
That's it.
Not saying I don't enjoy doing nails.
I know.
Kathleen Smith Davies, if you're listening, I'm going to be in the salon and I'm going to be doing your nails, and I love you.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Yeah. Anyway, right, you best go off and get ready to go to your salon.
Because I think sitting in my snuddy, talking to you, isn't getting stuff done, but I would prefer to do it all day. I think possibly we might have to do probably a full special on some of the things you do, get some tips on marketing and stuff for a special. I think I'm going to put that out there, and I'm not going to cut it out the podcast because then it will force you to have to speak to me again about these things.
I don't mind. The thing is, Rachel, the one thing you're learning when you're around me is I like talking. I can talk all day. I'm on the back end of laryngitis, and I'm still going. I have not stopped talking.
I said this when we were messaging each other this week. Separated at birth, love. Separated at birth.
Yeah, absolutely.
The thing I like doing most in the world is talking.
You know, even just like all the competition stuff and awards and all the different things that I've done and been part of and been a judge for and whatever, is like, you know, never say no.
Never say no.
Never say no. You'll always learn something and you always gain something, and you might win an award in the process.
Yes. You've inspired me today, and I'm hoping that everybody out there is also very much inspired by either one or all of the things you've talked about. So thank you so much. And I will speak to you so soon.
Lovely. Anytime.
Thank you for listening to today's episode of Nailtopia Inside with the Insiders. If you have enjoyed it, you can show me your support by heading over to buymeacoffee.com/Nailtopia, where you can help keep me in Yorkshire tea and savvy bee, enabling me to keep chatting to nail industry insiders with the stories you just need to hear. You can also check out what else Nailtopia is about on both Facebook and Instagram.